We need to talk. No, like seriously, we need to talk because this is ridiculous. And it hasn't stopped. Every day, it's whether it's something about President Donald J. Trump and his executive orders, the tariffs, if it's something about this, or if it's about drama that just happened to appear. And I don't care that I'm showing names because I'm just going to be real with you. Some folks need to be put on the spot because sometimes they get on their high horse when they're making content and they don't even realize what it is that they're doing. It's like they make one exposure video on someone, they get a high off of it, and then they just go overboard, over and over and over and over and over. They expose one bad person, and then they do it to the next person, then do it to the next person. Then they start doing it to innocent people. Then they get bored, and then they start going to public lobbies and doing this. Then they start going to Discord. Then they start going on Twitter. Then they start going on. And then what I hear people is saying is, oh, well, these folks do have a life, and they have jobs, they make a lot of money. Just because someone, quote unquote, has a job and they make a lot of money doesn't always technically mean that they fully have a life. What this shows here is that they're miserable. Because I don't know a person, right, that is quote unquote happy and they do stuff like this and say, this is completely normal. This is completely normal for me every day to wake up, purposely look for stuff that's filled with drama and talk about it constantly. You're telling me that's normal? You're telling me that getting on VR chat or getting on social media and purposely posting garbage, right, is normal. You're telling me that's okay? You're telling me that that's not a little bit weird? You know, the words that, that one phrase that everyone likes to abuse to hell and back, weird, not even realizing what the term actually does to people's mental psyche. Oh, that's weird. You're weird. This is weird. Oh, you're weird. It's like I swear people don't know how to button their mouths. They don't even realize or hear themselves when they talk. They don't realize how powerful their words actually are. So you tell me, out of all of this, right? Which out of all of this, which one is quote unquote weird to you? Because I'm kind of curious. Tell me, which one do you think is weird? Because I would like to know. Is it this piece of evidence right here about how 72% of anti-transgender laws cause up to 72% in suicide attempts among trans and non-binary youth? Or is it the Trump administration moves ban on segregated facilities and federal contacts? Or is it all of this drama from about VTubers, from the furry and brony community, from the Hasbin Hotel Hell of a Boss community, from the cartoon community? Now, pop quiz. What do you think the term weird means? The floor is yours. Oh, well, something that obviously, it's something that doesn't align with your silly way of thinking. Your closed minded way of thinking. That's what weird is. That's what weird is. That is your definition of weird. When you say something is weird, it means to alienate. You use that term sparingly when it should be used towards, like, I don't know, something that's really bad. Like pedophilia. Yeah, I agree. That's weird. But I feel like you should use a stronger term for that, like how it's dangerous, how it's unlawful, how it's inappropriate, how it's, just downright terrible. But, it's just people these days, they just love to run their mouths. Because look how many views they're getting. Look how many views they're getting. Of course they're never going to shut up. Of course they're going to keep running their mouth. Of course they're going to keep trying to expose people because they got nothing else better to do with their lives. So this is what they do during their spare time. They expose people. I don't know, instead of just letting the authorities take care of it, they expose people because they feel like they're heroes. You're not a hero doing this. You're just a bigger part of the problem. That's all you're doing. You're not really doing anything that's worthwhile. The amount of hours that you spend trying to expose these quote unquote hey, let me just explain something to these people. When you expose one person, you feel like you're a hero. You're not. Because you expose one person, the other actual terrible people run off scot-free. It's a domino effect. It's like, oh, we exposed this terrible furry, this terrible person. Look at me, guys. Where's my badge of honor? Hail me as a hero. Meanwhile, there's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 actual terrible people from other third world countries that are running away scot-free because you focus on this one person. Doesn't that seem a little weird that you spend this much time doing video edits to talk about an app that's technically dead? It's like it blows me away. Utilize your time properly. This is not how you do it. And then it's like everyone just jumps on the bandwagon because they want those million views. They want those 100,000 views. They want those 60,000 views. And I'm going to say this one more time. These people do not care about you. They care about their views. They only care about their views. They don't care about you. They only care about the fact that you sub and that you like and that you follow them and that you donate to them. They don't care about you and your well-being, because if they did, they would do this properly. They are only doing this for attention and for money. And I'm sick and tired just sitting down, just sitting on my hands and just letting this fly by. This needs to be talked about. Like, seriously. And you think that I'm doing this for money? No. I'm doing this to bring this to people's attention. It's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. It's on American-based sites. But you won't catch this on any other third world country, social media app, because they'll shut it down immediately. Because they don't believe in all this Americanized garbage about, we got to spread drama about everything. America, as one of my third world country friends has stated, is that it's dramatized. They love the drama. They love to just make other people miserable. It's their high. If there is someone that is not doing good, America's happy. It's like they're not, but then they're happy. So to me, that's weird. But, what someone does in their bed, that's the bigger problem. But stuff like this and seeing how, the American educational system is still failing the youth, that's not weird at all. That's normal. But stuff like this isn't weird. Like, the administration wanted to bring back segregated facilities. That's not weird. That's what I'm saying. People use that term and don't even know what it means. It's crazy. All right, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just state how I feel about the word weird. And I'm going to say this personally, because I really don't care about, how people feel about this. There are certain times in your life where you should be offended, okay? Anything that is downright disgusting, despicable, and something is off with the community that you support, you should call it out, and you should not be afraid about being banned over it. You should call it out, and you should expose it, okay? But you don't do stuff like this. This is purely for attention. That's all it is. Like, if one person talks about it, why do you feel like you need to talk about it? You know what I mean? It's like you're doing it, and you feel like you're being a hero, but you're not. You're doing it because you want money. You're doing it because you want attention. You're doing it because you want validation. And that's just an Americanized way of how people think. They want attention. When I do this stuff, man, I do it to teach. I do it to entertain when I can. But I don't do it for attention. And that's what's so dangerous about TikTok and Twitter and all these other social media apps. By the way, There was this article that I came across from 2023. You're not going to believe what I've learned. So I'm not sure how this was possible, but someone was able. It was like a group of people. When they surveyed over, like I guess they put out a survey. It was like billions of people, and it turns out that there's lots of people in the millions and billions, from 2023 that pretty much uninstalled certain apps. And you want to know what was the top five? Facebook, TikTok, no shocker, YouTube, WhatsApp, Telegram. I was like, what? Telegram? Yeah. Apparently, even folks that even work, that peruse content on these apps get sick and tired of these apps because they are growing toxic. And I've even noticed this with Blue Sky. Blue Sky is starting to turn to Twitter. And this was my biggest fear. That it's starting, not yet, but it's starting to turn to Twitter. And I don't want that. People move to Blue Sky to get away from the drama and whatnot, to get away from the politics, to get away from the, from that toxic religion, not the good religion, the toxic type. If you all want my 2 cents on this, I personally feel people are just bored. Okay? I think what's causing all of this anger and angst, especially in America, is boredom. They're bored. Even our own politicians are bored to do stuff like this. They're bored. They don't know what they're doing. So they're just like, you know what? Let's just throw something in the hat just to see if it makes sense. And then other people will just agree with it because they're bored. They're not using their brain. They're just bored. When you're bored, you just do some of the silliest things possible. And I think we're all guilty of that. But I mean, stuff like this is just ridiculous. Like, come on, man. Those poor books, man. Those poor books that could be read. But nah, why read? Why educate ourselves? Why actually learn new words besides weird and the re word? Let's just continue to dumb ourselves down while other third world countries continue to advance past us. Because everything that is not of America is weird. That's the lamest excuse that any American can come up with, is that it's weird, so therefore I don't understand it, and I don't want to understand it. Trans rights? That's weird. But whatever the Trump administration is doing, that's not weird. That's okay. Someone burning the European flag, pretty much setting a dangerous precedent for how they want their kid or their future grandkids to act in the future. That's not weird. That's okay. Burning the United States flag, that's a no-no. Burn the EU flag, that's okay. It's like pick and choose, man. Like pick and choose what is right and what is wrong. And that's the problem. It's like y'all don't get it. Y'all really don't understand the danger of your own freaking words. You really don't, do you? You don't understand how your words and your actions is just carrying over to the next generation. So, geez, I wonder why the next generation is going to start saying the hard, N-word and R-word, because the past generation said it was okay and allowed it, so now they're doing it. Just like with the term weird. Back in the day, weird wasn't even an offensive term. Now it kind of is. But I'll tell you this one thing that I find pretty hilarious and sad. Oh, you can call anyone else weird, but if you do that at any job where you're working with individuals with disabilities, you're getting reprimanded. You're lucky if you only get suspended or get a warning. Yeah, you're not allowed to call certain individuals, right, weird. Now, to yourself, you say that's kind of weird, but here's the thing that I don't get. There's a thing called a dictionary, right? And I'll go more into this in my voice corner, but I just find it kind of interesting that people are so focused on what others are doing, and the amount of hours that they spend doing that, they could be doing something productive. Like just today, I was on the treadmill for an hour, and I'm going to get back on the treadmill for another hour. I swear, if people were more productive, they wouldn't have time to make expose videos of VR chat or VTubers, because they'll be focused on, I need to focus on myself. it is okay to bring up a topic, but to dramatize it to this extent is ridiculous. I hate the fact of whoever made the first expose video in cancel culture, because it has just made everything so much worse. Where we see this, like when I typed in VR chat, this is what I see. It's like, do you not have anything better to do with your sad life? Go check on your grandma. Go check on your aunt. I don't know. Go learn a new language. Go work out more. Work another few extra hours. I guarantee you, if you change your lifestyle, you will not have time to produce this much nonsense. Yes, what you say in your videos is true. Yes, sometimes I will admit your videos are funny. But when you look at the overall variety of your content, it's nothing but exposure. It's nothing but drama. That's all it is. That's all it is. At the end of the day, you did one thing and now you got a high off of it. Do like a Kyle, do like other people, and actually use that to not only talk about it but to educate. Those are the type of people that we need. We don't have time for just people to just sit here and laugh at the mentally ill. It's obvious that you're dealing with the mentally ill. All right? Call out people when they do wrong, but you don't have to go to this extreme. If it's that extreme, right? And I'm so sick and tired of hearing about, oh, a minor this, a minor that. Get them off the internet. It's so easy. Get them off the internet, or the parent needs to monitor what they do. Someone needs to monitor what they do. And there you go. Problem solved. Why is this so hard? Why is this? To me, I think that's weird. That people roll their eyes at that, but they praise stuff like this. Or they get triggered by bronies because of what other bronies did in the past from years ago. To me, that's weird, but stuff like this, no, this is perfectly normal. This is perfectly okay. That's why the moment when someone says the word weird to me, I look at them like they're a closed-minded fool. You hear me? You are a closed-minded fool if you ever utter that word to me about someone, because that just shows you just how little of your creativity really is if that's the only thing that you can say in your sentences. Pathetic, man. I'm sorry. Like, this has gone on long enough to the point where it's irritated me. And yes, this is a rant, because you should be offended when people are this ignorant. The fact that people are not more frustrated with people like this is tiring. Now, I did see a video where someone says, oh, well, I want to talk about how it's not that bad. My hat's off to individuals like you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ones that are purposely doing this on purpose because they want to get a rise off of people. It's tiring, man. It's like you don't have a life. It's just that simple. You don't have a life. In the English language, there are 1 million words, but we barely use not even 70% of those words. And it shows. I'm guilty of this. That's why I make sure that I learn new words. Because it's important to learn something new. It is important to better yourself. It is important to do something meaningful instead of doing stuff like this. Look at what this person did. Look at what are you doing? The amount of energy that you put into exposing that one person, you could have already got yourselves signed up for a college course with a bachelor's degree. You could have already done, I would say 20 sets of, 20 diamond push-ups. Get on the treadmill. If you could have already read 3 chapters of a book. You could have learned 20 new Japanese phrases. If you keep yourself busy, you won't have time to do stuff like this. You won't have time to focus on the negativity of the news. And you won't allow stuff like this to happen because you will educate yourself and know the truth that both sides secretly work together. And it's always been that way. The more you educate yourself, the better you're going to be. And you're going to look at stuff like this and be like, that's the real weird stuff. The more strange things. I know what you're thinking to yourself. Well, I have to talk about it because why? Do you not realize that when you become 60, 70 years old, you're going to look at that stuff and be like, why did I do this? And you want to know the kicker? Mostly 20-year-olds do this. Name 130, 140, 150, 160-year-old who makes expose videos like this. Bring them to me. Personally. Bring them to me. I don't care if they're in VR or whatnot. Have them come to my DMs or one of my streams. I would like to talk to them and ask them what is wrong with them. When you hear these people when they talk, right? They sound young, don't they? You're never going to find anyone in their 40s or 50s or 60s acting like this. Never. And if you do, it's a rare occurrence. You will never, ever, 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 ever mostly find anyone that's 40, 50, 60, or 70 years old having the time to do stuff like this. It's always young people who do this that are unsupervised by their parents who don't smack them out of it and teach them to, hey, if it's that serious, tell them to call the police. It's so easy. It's like, but no. America always has to dramatize everything and dumb themselves down to the lowest common denominator. And I don't know why. And it upsets me because of the fact that there are examples of actual smart, intelligent Americans. But of course, let's just focus on the people that are just doing the silliest of things, or in y'all case, weird things. But we're going to ignore stuff like this. We're going to ignore stuff like this. And we're going to focus more on stuff like this. I mean, come on. Like, seriously, man. This is what people do during their spare time. This is what they do. Make expose videos. Troll people. When there are kids in other countries dying. And there are actual legit charities that need donations. When there's a literal app, Yan Xiaohu, that's literally taking the time to teach people Chinese. And this is what Americans do with their spare time. That to me is weird. Oh, fairies are weird. This right here is weird. Drama baiting is weird. This right here is weird. I mean, oh my God. Seriously? You don't think that this is weird, but this is normal and this is normal? You don't think that people worry about what other people do, who they date, as long as they're of age? You don't think that's weird? That's normal? People burning flags, that's normal? People saying the N-word, that's normal to you? Drama's normal to you? Oh, governments fighting one another is normal to you? That's not weird to you? Okay, whatever. Game companies constantly screwing y'all out of y'all money? That's not weird. That's normal? I just gotta ask. Because people say all the time that this is weird, but when I bring stuff up like this, that's not weird to them. That's normal. This is normal. What are you talking about? 300 plus executive orders being signed? That's normal. Segregation? That's normal. Kids doing silly stuff like this on the internet, that's normal. What? Whatever. If y'all think that's normal, but y'all so focused on other stuff being weird, then maybe there's something wrong with you. Not them. Maybe there's something wrong with you, the individual. Yes, you, the one that's spending time editing videos and whatnot, because you're so focused on this one person who's obviously the devil when there's other people that are much, much worse. That's who you focus on. These claims, oh, this is the worst predator, this is the worst pedo, this is the, if you actually typed up the worst predator, the worst pedo, the worst whatever online, or actually talked to those in third world countries, and they will tell you, oh, there's much worse. The fact that this is what people do in their spare time is so sad to me. It's honestly funny, but it's sad. Because when you look at the statistics, when it comes to schools and, IQs, it's just, wow, no wonder. No wonder America's ranked. It's like America, like, teeters back and forth between yay and then back down to being. It's just it's no wonder because their focus is all over the place. There's no primary focus. Geez, no wonder why Americans are so miserable. Look at what they're focused on. They spend they rather watch an hour video talking about the obvious that happens on every social media platform. Social media, global. You're gonna deal with people like this. How do you deal with them? Oh, what's the magic word? You block them, you mute them. And if it's serious and they're sending you stuff you don't like, you can literally just threaten legal action and they'll leave you alone. It's so easy, but no, we gotta make everything dramatic. We gotta make this into a TV show. That's just America, man. Only America does that. And if you don't believe me, talk to other third world countries. Talk to them. They'll tell you, man, only America does this. And then what does South Park, Family Guy, Simpsons do? They capitalize on it. They capitalize on y'all ignorance. And they've been doing it for the past, almost 40 years? They capitalize on y'all ignorance. Y'all sit there, you watch the show, which is fine. You laugh at it, and you don't even learn what they're trying to teach you. But you're so focused on what you don't like about the episode and how this is offensive, but you don't even realize they're mocking you. They are secretly mocking you. They're doing it because they see someone that's ignorant. They make a profit of it. They call it satire, and they make money. They've been doing it for years. For years, they've been doing it. For years. Oh, no, that's not weird. That's normal. Somebody wants to educate and better themselves. That's weird. That's weird. What is wrong with people? Seriously. Alright, as I said, I had to get that out my system, man. That's just something I want to let out for a long, long time. And this is just something I thought about after I was done talking to my therapist, because it's just like, someone has to address this. Somebody has to. I don't care if a lot of people aren't listening. They'll come to my stream one day, years later, and they're going to look at this and be like, he's right. What is wrong with us? That's why the meme of touch grass exists. Because some people really do need to touch grass. The amount of stories that I've heard that goes on social media, I just want to type kindly, touch grass. Grow up. This stuff happens. I'm sorry that you dealt with it, but it happens. It happens, and you shouldn't put this much time and energy into social media. You really shouldn't. It's unhealthy. I miss the days when social media was fun and engaging, and it wasn't as. I'm not even gonna say that word. I hate the word weird. I really do. You should use it to describe things or situations, but I encourage people to stop using that word. It makes you sound illiterate and ignorant. It really does. It's slang. You need to find other terms that pretty much are a lot more that equate to that term, but not so much. You should use it sparingly. If you state that word in a college, research paper over and over again, you will literally go from getting an A to a C. Okay? Because a college professor is going to look at you and say you need to read more. If you use any type of slang in a college, paper, you're going to get a bad grade because that college professor is teaching you there's a time and place for that type of terminology. And using that word in such a way to demean and to harm instead of just sparingly just to use to describe certain situations is odd. And what really bothers me is that there's multiple synonyms for that term weird that people can use, but they won't use it because they're too comfortable using this darn word. And it's just it's baffling. It's baffling to me that people are comfortable with low-hanging fruit and just stating slang. They're so comfortable with it. And they call it casual talk. You can have a casual talk conversation while speaking jargon. It's just that Americans are just ignorant. I can listen, I can say it because I'm American too. It's just listen to other people. And you tell me, how many times do they use that word or certain words that Americans use? Very little. Because you want to know why? Because they read and they look up other terms. The definition of weird means to alienate. So every time you use that word, it holds power. So when you call your own child weird, you're alienating them. Yeah. So what is that child going to do when they get older? They're going to find something they don't like. And they're going to go to the extreme. They're not going to say weird. They're going to say effing weird. This is why this cycle continues. This is why stuff like this is normalized. That's why it's normalized. This is why it's normalized. Because no one's taking a stand and telling that person, don't you mean this phrase instead? It only takes 1 second. I don't get it. I've been called that term so many times to the point where it's lost its meaning. I look at that person like you are a fool to call me weird because I like to educate myself, that I like to better myself, that I like to, do things that's different from the norm, that I like to take breaks from. You are a fool to call me weird. You see what I mean? How it just loses me? It's just like when someone spouts the N-word, it loses its power over time. It's like, why do you keep saying this and you don't even know what it means? When I talk and have these little discussions, right, even if I raise my voice, it is not to like, oh, I'm so angry. It's just to add emotion to what I'm saying. Because if I talk like this and say, oh, yeah, I don't know why people would say stuff like that, man. I just think that's kind of odd and peculiar that someone. That's Morse Critical's thing. That's Senpai Morse Critical's thing. I'm not Morse Critical. I'm me. Okay? I am going to express myself and how I need to get my point across. And sometimes I may have to be a little loud, but I'm mostly mellow. But stuff like this should make you offended and should make you angry. You should never speak calmly about a topic that is angering the people, because this is quote unquote weird and this is weird. But a furry just say, that's just what furries do. That's just what they do. The fact that people, I made a TikTok about this. There's no excuse anymore. It's out there. You can share it. You can download it. You can even upload it to your video and react to it. There's no excuse for this type level of ignorance anymore. Maybe in the 90s, maybe in the 80s, maybe in the 70s. I would still disagree with that. But in an era where you can get AI generated answers and whatnot, and there are multiple ways to do research and multiple ways to learn, there is zero excuses now. Zero excuses to have your language, to have language barriers. Zero. You just have to take the time to do it. I'm not apologizing for this. I'm not apologizing for how I feel about this. I should be angry about stuff like this. I should be frustrated about stuff like this. And I should be annoyed with stuff like, stuff like this. I should be annoyed with stuff like this. I have the right to be annoyed because I've been sitting there patiently, not trying to go, no, not trying to be frustrated about this stuff. I should be annoyed by this. I should be angry about this. And anyone that tells you otherwise, there's something mentally wrong with them. You should be annoyed with people like this who constantly make drama bait videos. You should be annoyed with people who normalize to say stuff like KYS. You should be annoyed with people who act this ignorant and think that this is okay. You should be frustrated. You should be offended by this. Because that's normal to be offended by ignorance. That is a normal response. Sitting there and acting like it's not weird is the problem. Seeing a grown man burn a flag instead of just stating what's wrong, like what an adult should do, I think that's problematic, Seriously. Seriously. Why aren't more VTubers talking about this stuff in their live streams? Why is that? Why is it that no one's talking about? Why is it? Why? Because they don't want to lose their precious subs, their viewers, their followers. Because that's what they mostly care about. They don't care about actually doing what I'm doing and spreading the news about stuff like this. Because when they do, they're going to lose their precious followers and viewers. And that's where I start to lose respect for them. Because it's like, there's a time and place to be silly and do all that ooh stuff. And there's a time where you have to be serious. And there's zero moments of being serious nowadays. Oh boy, you have to be entertaining because you don't want to make them sad. You gotta make them. You gotta like get out of my face. To me, I think that is what y'all would call weird. Okay. Are you annoyed yet that I keep saying that word? Exactly, because that's how improper it is. You should be annoyed that I keep saying that word. You should be annoyed. And to some people, I think that's all we can do is just talk about how things make us feel And maybe by some miracle with hard work, have a nonprofit organization. It's not going to fix it. I get that. I understand. I understand that me talking about the stuff's not going to fix it. So why get offended when someone's telling the truth? I love, that's my favorite line for one of my streams. Why get offended if it's the truth? Because you know, that's why. And you're probably part of the problem. That's why. People that don't want to hear you out about stuff like this are ignorant people. They are people that know, but they will act as if they don't understand, but they do. And they just revealed a whole lot about themselves. Don't ever fool yourself into thinking that they're not listening to you. They are. It's just when they start acting like they don't hear you, they just are switching the topic. It makes them uncomfortable. Like Johnson says, oh, you don't like this. You don't like what's being told to you, huh? You don't like being in an uncomfortable situation? And what do? They act like cowards and they run away because they don't want to hear it because it's too much for them. But they'll sit here and make a whole freaking what 60-minute, 50-minute, 40-minute expose video. And what do they say at the end of their videos? They promote themselves. Says a lot about that person, doesn't it? Says a lot about them. If I'm alone in this, I'd rather be alone in this than to, be in a situation or live in a world where I can't state how this makes me feel. I'm going to conclude this first part of the stream with this voice recording. And if you disagree with it, that's perfectly fine. There's a particular word that has just been thrown around like loose candy, and I don't know why, but I've noticed that a lot of people tend to throw this word around, and I don't even think they even know what it means. Like, I'm not even joking. One of the words is simply weird. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what's wrong with saying the word weird? It's a symbol of closed mindedness. And you want to know why I say that? Because it is such a piece of terminology that is overused, and people use this term so loosely to the point that they don't even know what it means anymore. This is how they describe furries. This is how they describe anything that's sexualized. This is how they describe just almost anything. Wow, that's weird. Ooh, you're weird. This weird. This weird. And it's like, listen, I get that folks in the '90s used to say this word a lot, but even I have to admit, isn't there anything else that I can say besides that? I'm going to make this real quick because honestly, I could be all day with this and I may just do a stream about it one day, but I don't understand with billions of words that exist, why do we use some of the most common terms? This is why I force myself, yes, I say force myself to learn at least 5 to 10 new words a day or at least a week. Because if you don't read a lot and if you don't, reinvent, the term I like to use a lot, you will be one of the most closed-minded individuals on this planet. If I was as closed-minded as a lot of people that I see, I will not have the wide array of friends, acquaintances, and constituents that have helped me get where I need to be to this day. You have to broaden your horizon and get out of your little circle of just saved Christians or Catholics that just judge every single person. You will be stuck there forever. And trust me when I say that those individuals that you think that are so holy and righteous are secretly hypocrites. So, and they could lead you down a dark path if you're not careful. So, you gotta understand something. It is okay to use the word, but I just find it to be pretty awkward that individuals now use this word as an insult. I have been called this word on multiple occasions, not in a hilarious way, but in a way that is meant to demean and to hurt and also to defame me. And it's also been used a lot in the LGBTQ. There are more words that you can use, terms actually, besides that word weird. It's gotten so bad to the point that even I'm starting to hate the word. And I have to, like reprogram myself so I don't hate the word because sometimes I use it. But then I realize I have to be loose with this word because this word can be pretty harmful, especially when you describe it. So now if you're saying, when it comes to science or if it's a discovery, you say, that is pretty weird. But when you think about it, it's just slang. It's not even proper English. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and look up some words real quick that literally is the same as weird, but it's a lot more proper. Other words to say than weird. And here you go, folks. Strange, unusual, curious, eccentric, abnormal, odd, crazy, erratic, outlandish, far out, grotesque, mysterious, singular, uncanny, eerie. We're not going to say that word because that's pretty much related to NSFW, and quaint. There are so many other words than weird. You can say bizarre, you can say wild, camp, or comical. There's 780 synonyms. Let's see here. There's kooky. There's dreadful, flaky. Did you hear that? 780 synonyms related to the word weird, but can be done in a proper way based on a sentence and a situation. So what is y'all excuse? 780. Anonymous, uncough, unearthly. But let's look up the word weird. What does it even mean anyway? And why is this word just so offensive these days? Weird definition. Suggested something supernatural and uncanny. Induce a sense of disbelief or alienation in someone. But here's the key word, alienation. When you say that a person is weird, you are alienating them. You are literally saying that you are something that just doesn't make any sense and we don't want to have nothing to do with you. Now, I get why some people would say this towards bad individuals like pedophiles. Okay, understandable. But even then, you have to wonder when you listen to certain people why their vocabulary is so dumbfounded. You know what I mean? It's so closed. And you just kind of wish that they would use other terminology. It's kind of like when you go in the hood and you see individuals that just say nothing but some of the most heinous terms. And eventually you're just going to get bored of it and just be like, well, why are you constantly using this type of profound language? Why not broaden it? Well, it's all I know. It's all I know. That I love that excuse when people say it's all I know. We're not in the old days where everything's segregated. I don't care what the government's saying. Talking about, we're going to bring it back. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. You could go to, any library, pick up a book, and just read. And if you don't know how to read properly, I'm sure if you ask politely, somebody will give you some tips on how you can improve your vocabulary. There's no longer an excuse as to why people are this, what's the term that I can use? There's just no excuse for why someone's vocabulary is this limited and closed-minded anymore. So the next time you hear someone say the word weird, just shake your head at them and reverse it. One of the things that my family has taught me, including a lot of elders, is that when you deal with individuals who use certain terms to describe you, kind of chuckle and then throw another term at them. 9 times out of 10, either they forgot to use that type of word because they're upset or frustrated, or that just shows you just how limited their vocabulary is. And when that's the case, that is just a sign that is someone that just needs to read more. That's it. That's the solution. If you want to destroy, and I do mean this, destroy ignorance and downright stupidity, that's how you do it. You have to read more. You have to study more. You have to educate yourself. You have to listen to more, audiobooks that have a wider range of vocabulary. And I guarantee if more and more people, especially Americans, do this, that word weird will be gone or be used very rarely. No matter what's going on, listen, you probably thinking to yourself, well, why is it that you're saying this? I know people that say it, they don't get offended. It's not what you say. It's the tone and how you say it. I've had people bring this to my attention saying, oh, well, when you said that to me, I thought that you were angry. Your tone and your pitch and how you say things matter throughout history. It matters throughout your whole timeline. That's why you have to be very careful. At my job that I work at, one of the core lessons that I've learned is what you say and how you say to an individual will always be interpreted differently from each person. So to you, you may be joking like, ha ha, that's so uncanny. Well, in y'all case, that's so weird. But to them, you could have just wrecked their whole self-esteem because the fact that A, B, C, D, E, F, G throughout their childhood probably said that same word, but probably said it in the worst way possible. Be very careful and wise of the words that you say, please, and get the word weird out of your vocabulary. Hopefully that made a lot more sense, okay? And that's when I was less frustrated. I had to pretty much get up for work, and that was recorded on a Sunday. But do you get my point? Do you really? Do you? I get why people say the word, but it's stated so loosely. And when I surround myself with, when I pretty much do my research with other, individuals from third world countries and whatnot, and to see how they use certain words that Americans use less, it speaks a lot about us. I mean, it's like clockwork with some people. Someone gets exposed. There's like 10, 100 plus videos on it. People make a big deal about it. Oh, they hate this person. They detest this person. Oh, they want to maul this person to pieces. And then it's like once another person gets exposed, then they forget about that person. It's what I said right here. What you see is normal to most Americans. This is normal to them. This is okay. This is normal. This is their entertainment. And it's scary. They love to create anything that provides them some form of ounce of happiness. And then once it's quote unquote weird, they destroy it. Every single time. They love to create and create and create. And then afterwards, they just destroy it. Instead of trying to modify it, adjust it, fix it, they destroy it. That's just what they do. They destroy it with harmful terminology. Or they'll take terms that was once not harmful and will make it harmful. And that is quote unquote the term that starts with a W. That's what I think is baffling, strange, kooky, or as y'all like to say, weird. But no, you destroying people. You doing overexposures. And then the moment y'all get exposed, now you wanna play face with the person. Well, maybe the person was just mentally ill. Where was that empathy and sympathy, right? I get it that certain people that are actual terrible human beings that do this to actual children, IRL, whatnot. Yeah, you should expose them, but it's like you're going to get exhausted doing this. Do you really want to be 60 years old making expose videos on those type of people? You're going to be so exhausted that you're probably not going to live to see 70. It's not worth it. That's why we have law enforcement. That's their job. And they'll handle it. But I mean, if you want to be that vigilante, that's fine. But most vigilantes retire. They eventually get tired. White hat hacker groups, they don't last long because they get tired. You know, I just find it hilarious that people just choosing to live their life differently, as long as they're not hurting children or themselves or family, that's weird. But these evil individuals who obviously have terrible intentions, who get all of these views, and then the moment they get exposed, then they just look for the next person to just leech off of. That's not weird. That's normal. I'm going to go ahead and say this because I really don't care. I was in this one group called Furry Oasis, and I'm not going to lie. I got invited to it twice. Like the first time I rejected because like, I don't know. And then I said, you know what? Fine. I know this person. I accepted it, but I only went to one instance. That's when it was like really small. And then I hear about all this drama going on. And I was like, see, this is why I want to leave a lot of these groups. Because I can't even just enjoy my time with the group without it disbanding or drama. Like, I don't understand it. But I'm the weirdo for talking about this. I, I should just be like everybody else, and and that's fine. But I don't want to be like everybody else. I'd rather be the most unpopular furry slash brony streamer to ever exist on this planet with zero drama, having my peace and do what I like to do, and just working a full time job and only be around people that actually care about me versus trying to be around a bunch of people that will use me in the worst ways possible. And then as soon as they get mad, want to expose people. I'm dealing with a friend right now, I will not state their name, who's dealing with a lot right now. And I feel bad for them. I really do. I really do. It's like people, especially Americans, just love to just do this in their spare time. But if they were working two part-time jobs and had to take care of family, I guarantee they wouldn't have time for all of this. They wouldn't have time to make all these expose videos. They wouldn't have time to do it. No, they wouldn't. You want to know what else I find quote unquote strange? That our government cares so much about LGBTQ more than hunger, the children, what's going on with our economy, what's going on with the tariffs. But their main focus is their religious beliefs. That is just you're going to tell me that that's normal? And what's even more strange, kooky, odd, baffling, is that the same people that get so angry about things backtrack. People were so angry about the Nintendo Switch 2 prices, highest pre-order numbers in history of Nintendo. Well, surpassing the Switch. People are so angry about this, support anyway. People are in an uproar about this person passing away, and they move on. You see, folks, what you see is weird. Of course, again, let's just break this down. Minus actual terrible people on this planet that do terrible things that deserve jail time. We can all agree on that. Now that we subtract that, everything else, what y'all see is weird, is actually Not even that bad. You have to broaden and expand your vocabulary, or you're going to be perceived as ignorant amongst millions of people that you talk to. Oh, they'll agree with you. They'll just be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But in the back of their mind, they'll say, how ignorant. You'll be the talk of the dinner conversations. I met this one individual, and all they kept saying was the N word, N word, N word, and everyone's like, how ignorant. Ha 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 ha. You just don't know it. I lived it. I seen it. To Generation Beta and Alpha, do better. Seriously. Utilize your time a lot better. I met someone that's Gen Z, right? They go by the name of Aston. I love shouting people out that are positive to this world. And they're talking about how, they're bilingual and they know martial arts and they do choreography. They're just living their best life. They got some stuff they got to work on health wise, but other than that, they are just they are a prime example of what Gen Z should be, what Gen Alpha and Gen Beta should be. You know, it's just people need to understand this one thing: your time is valuable. You will be exhausted constantly trying to piece together all what goes on in this world. Learn about it, but do not indulge in this type of behavior because you'll start off trying to do a good thing. You expose that one terrible person. Everyone applauds you. Everyone's happy for you. Everyone's like, wow, you are such an amazing person. That's going to get in your head. And then you're going to become egotistical. And then you're going to start pumping out more content that's the same thing. And then you're going to grow a fan base. And the fan base is going to love you. And then you're going to start to grow, have like narcissistic like personalities. And then you're going to feel like you're untouchable. And then the one time you get exposed, it all comes crashing down and you can't come back from it. But like I said, I'm just a weirdo who's just telling it like it is. Because y'all love to use that word so much to describe me and many others. And that's perfectly fine. If that's how you want to describe people like me, go right ahead. See if I care. See if I care. But injustice to me will always be strange. The fact that people get so mad about certain issues and then just forget about it, that will always be kooky to me. But the fact that I live in a world where people find this normal and this normal, I think we should really reevaluate what that W word actually means.